People ask me, what's like the hardest assignment as a journalist you've had to prepare for? Every single day I was consuming this. I took a break from news. I wasn't really actively looking. I got those Emmys thanks to the stories that my Latino community wanted to share with me.
Welcome everybody again to I Got an Accent, So What? Our 5th episode. And today I have a very, very special girl here in our community. Not only what she represents, she's young, she's feisty, she's brave. But today I have Yisel Tejeda. Welcome, my love.
Thank
Welcome
you so
to
much.
This podcast.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited. We finally made it happen.
I know. I connected with Yisel. It's been more than 10 years that I know Yisel. And then you moved to Tampa. And then in Tampa, because you were doing your whole amazing journalism career over there. Then you moved to New York. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. Who's Yisel? Yisel is our amazing news anchor for Telemundo, which is our Latino station here in Central Florida. And you're such a fresh air, and I wanted to bring you here because I wanted to not only pick your mind, I want to know what's in Yisel's mind, and I wanted to share many things that day that we reconnected, we were doing our hair, and I'm like, oh my God, you're back, and there was so much to catch up that it was so hard because we wanted to say so much that was in our mind, and I was like, you need to be in my next episode, and here we are today.
I'm excited for this. And this kind of, it helps me because it takes me out of like that hustle and bustle, right? That I have currently as a journalist here. As you just mentioned, we've known each other for quite some time now. I did move to Tampa for my career as a journalist, and then I was offered an amazing opportunity to move to New York City, where I anchored our primetime newscast, and now I'm back in Orlando, and I am so happy here, Gia. I haven't felt this happy in such a long time.
And I saw it from the minute I saw you. I was like, you're back. I've been following your career, such a big fan. Big fan of seeing Latina women winning. Especially in a career journalism that is such a, not only, is very hard to get. Cutthroat, she said it, not me. But in Spanish, even winning in life in our own language. And it's such an admiration that I have for you. And I'm so happy that you're here in our backyard, here in Orlando, giving our news and all that. And it was such a, magnetism as soon as we met again and talked about, and we're like, I need to bring you because you're everything that this show talks about, except the accent. Because again, guys, I think the only person that have an accent, it's me.
No, I have an accent. Yeah, and it's great, I am able to represent our Latino community, representar la comunidad hispana aquí, ahora en Florida Central, here in Central Florida. And what a blessing it is to do it in a place where, as you very well know, I initiated my journalism career here in Orlando, Florida. I started at that station. So to come back, it's like, I'm back home, I'm back.
How far you come.
Right. It's like a full circle.
Look how far we come. And it was so much excitement as you were telling me, the whole entire journey. Now you're a mom of 2 beautiful girls.
My little girls, Sophia and Amelia, those girls are my life. They keep me on my toes. And I think for them, I made this move mainly for them. I remember I spoke to my husband. People ask me, what's like the hardest assignment as a journalist, right? That you've had to prepare for. And without a doubt, it's been covering a pandemic. COVID-19 hit us hard. All of us, and after it happened and covering a pandemic in New York City, as we all know, it was tough. And I remember I told my husband one night, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I am ready to leave this place. I need a change of environment. Yeah. And I'm so happy that everything fell into place. Yes. And now I'm back here where I can continue sharing the stories of our community, but I'm doing it in a different place, in a place where you step out of your house and you might be having a bad day, but the moment you feel the sun in your face,
Yep.
it like lifts your spirits. And
That's Florida.
that's Florida, yes. And it's funny because I was looking through and scrolling down my Instagram, and I remember when I was working in Tampa, I would go to the beach and I would post like, I live where you vacation. And you don't know what you have till you lose it. Then I go to New York and I'm here covering like snowstorms and the cold weather, abrigos, a big coats on,
Walking all
and
those blocks.
gloves, walking all those blocks. And I'm like, man, I didn't know how good I had it.
Wow, but you know what? I commend you for that. There's obviously a saying that says we have to put in the work to see the results, and definitely you have seen that. Actually, I'm gonna go back. How we met? We met on a network event. Okay, I was in my early 20s. I think you were even younger than me, but we connect. She didn't have no children at that time, and I had Gianfranco at that time, and it was a lot of communality between you, the marriage. You got married a couple years later. I think you were engaged at that time, and just see your whole entire path is beautiful. To see that there is a way to make a name for yourself, to make women proud when you want to do things right, correctly, and show that there's always a hope for those Latina out there, that sometimes we think that maybe this is not for me, or maybe I'm not good enough for that position. You are a perfect example that whoever put in the work, you can go anywhere you wish.
Listen, I'm a firm believer that yes, you have to put in the work, but you have to believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself and you're constantly doubting yourself, guess what? You're not going to get anywhere. Absolutely. I also believe that you need to find someone that believes in you. Because if I wouldn't have been given that opportunity right after college, right after I graduated, UCF night, woo woo, right after I graduated UCF, who knows? If that one person wouldn't have given me that position, that chance, to learn, to grow, then who knows what would have happened. My story would have been different. So yeah, we have to put in the work. We have to believe in ourselves. But I also think you need to find someone that believes in you and that's willing to take a chance with you.
Yes.
Right?
Isn't that beautiful?
It is. It is.
But before that, this woman, her resume stands for she not only journalism, but not just any journalism. She have won 5 Emmy-winning journalism.
Yes.
Girl, that's huge.
It is 5
I know
Emmy
people that
Awards.
win 1, and I'm like, oh, wow. But 5?
5.
And
Hard
you
work.
still so humble. You still are approachable in the sense that a lot of people are like, oh, I have an Emmy. And that's something that speaks loud of your persona.
Yeah, and you know what it is? I think when, for instance, Emmys, right? One of the most prestigious awards any journalist can receive. I got 5 of them, but you can't let things like that get to your head, right? I feel like I owe those Emmys. I got those Emmys thanks to the stories that my Latino community wanted to share with me. If they wouldn't have given me that story, that exclusive, I wouldn't have had not even one, So I feel like I owe it to them. And to me, Gia, an award is just a representation or a symbol, right, that we have to keep working hard. It's just an award, but you have to keep working hard. Just because you have an award doesn't mean you're going to sit, on your behind and let things come to you. You have to put in the work, and you have to, in my case, I had to go out and keep sharing those stories, keep knocking on doors, asking those tough questions. So to me, an award is just, another example of, hard work pays off, but our job is not done, and it continues.
Absolutely. Wow. This is just the beginning. And I think we're going to go over time because it's just, it's so rich in everything you're talking, because you hit it right on spots, already get a sense of who you are, in the sense of, my next question is, who's Yisel? I'm already getting the sense of that awards are important, but that doesn't define you, right? That your Latino community, you are grateful where you come from. Tell me what they don't know about Yisel Tejeda. Because before I allow you to elaborate, I know everybody knows this beautiful anchor woman giving this news, which her voice is incredible. She's like, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I can be like that. La, la, la. You know, you're so awesome delivering, and you're such a great, great aspect of communication on camera. I don't know if that's the right term, guys, remember, but I got an accent, so what? So you guys gonna deal with that? But there's many things that I understand that Yisel don't show to the camera. But today we're not in the camera. We're talking girlfriends here. So who's Yisel?
Listen, Yisel is full of imperfections, right? Aren't we all? And I think that's what makes us beautiful.
Yes.
We all have a story to tell. Yisel is someone that's very sensitive, that it's hard for her to sit in an anchor desk and read those tragic stories. You know, it's hard for her to disconnect when she gets home from that shooting that killed, 14 kids. It's hard for her to do those things. I am very sensitive, but Yisel is someone that is very determined, someone that loves her family, that's there for her family, and that puts her family first before anything. Because a lot of the times, Gia, sometimes we're hungry, right, for power, right? We want to be in the peak of our career, and we want to, get the best story. We want to sell all the houses, on the market, and you want to do all these things, and sometimes you forget about what's important. And what's important? Your family, tu familia.
Yes.
Tu familia siempre deberá ocupar el primer lugar. Should always be first before anything. Because if your family is not okay, then you're not going to be able to do all those other things that you want to do that's going to help you advance in your career or keep growing. Wow. So I'm all about my family, and I'm just very determined. I like to try new things. I don't want to say I'm not afraid of change, because I think change scares us sometimes, but I'm not afraid to take that step, because I feel like sometimes people get they get comfortable.
Yeah.
They get comfortable, and because they have that fear of, man, what if things don't go well? They don't do certain things in life, and they miss out on so many wonderful things,
Wow.
And that's what happened to me, coming in.
You hit a very sweet spot there. Yeah. I can see you right through, and that's what I know people will feel this at home or wherever you guys are listening to this podcast. It's showing that we're human, that whatever we look, that we're so perfect on camera, that we're that. And that's what this show is all about.
And, and I think to add to that point, right, I get a lot of questions from people that know me, friends, colleagues. They're like, Yisel, you were working in the #1 market. You were in New York City, baby. You were in the peak of your career. I was being called by some of the stations there, like local English stations, to participate in debates with, mayoral candidates in New York City. And I was doing all these things. I was in the peak of my career. But ask me if I was happy. I wasn't. I wasn't. So sometimes that job title, the salary,
doesn't fill up.
Yeah, it doesn't fill you up. It's insignificant.
And that's my next question. Because you were in a market which is considered the capital of journalism, living your best life, investigative reporter, being in the action, in the cameras, like it could not get better. Like it's just going up the ladder.
Yeah.
Why do you decide, or when do you decide, I'm going to let go of this and I'm going to go to Florida? My roots, my family, start all over again. I want the people to understand, when do you realize that? Because a lot of people might be in a transition of their life, that what you said, they are in the peak of their life, but they're not fulfilled. And that's very important. If you're not doing what's so passionate about you, but still, you can be still doing what's passionate to you and not fill you up. Yeah. Because your priorities are not set, guys. So that's one thing that we need to align, right? So when did that happen and how?
For me, it was COVID-19. Like I said at the beginning, one of my hardest assignments by far has been covering a pandemic. Think about it. We were working remote. So I had all of this equipment in my living room. So I would go downstairs, and the first thing I would see was this cameras and lights and tripods and my computer. There was no escaping it.
It was in your intimacy.
Right. It was in my
space.
Yeah, your sacred space, your home, right? And I remember every day I'll start my newscast with, we have these many cases, we have these amount of deaths. You know, I was showing and talking about these, you know, these trucks that were parked out of hospitals because the hospitals couldn't hold the bodies, you know. Every single day I was consuming this. And I remember I was so sad. Because, you know, there was so much incertidumbre, not knowing what was going to happen, uncertainty. And I remember I told my husband, I'm like, I'm not happy. Wow. I'm not happy anymore. I'm like, let's look for a house in Florida. All of my, by the way, all of my family is in Orlando. Mm-hmm. All of my family, my core, okay? These people that they lift you up when you hit rock bottom, everyone was here. You know, I had my husband, I had my daughters, and my youngest was like 4 months. But even that, I look at pictures, I'm like, I wasn't there because my mind was elsewhere, you know?
Surviving.
And I made that decision. I remember I spoke to him. He goes, "You're sure about it?" I'm like, "I am." He goes, "You're ready? You're ready to leave this, everything you've built, you know, your career, your reputation with the Latino community here in New York City to go to Orlando?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Wow. And I remember when I gave the news to my general manager, which I admire and I appreciate him so much. I'm like, he goes, "What do you want? You want more money? You know, what is it?" And I'm like, "No, is that nothing's going to fulfill me right now. Right now I have a void in my heart." Wow. And how do you fill that up? By being close to those that know you best, tu familia.
You needed to ground yourself.
Yes.
You needed to find the connection. So what I was saying, again, by no means I'm not a psychologist, but you, with so much negativity, you tend to lose yourself. So you were, I see you like a little fish trying to you know, swim against the current.
I felt suffocated.
Especially in New York, that was the epicenter of pandemic.
El epicentro.
You know, it was I can only imagine one of the hardest things that you know, but that shaped you.
It did.
But that lets you know that does not matter how strong you are, guys, as an individual, and you feel yourself lost, you still have to find your core and ground yourself. Right. And I can only feel your frustration from home. You couldn't escape.
You couldn't.
So you're having breakfast, lunch, and
dinner,
news, and then
it was there. But you know, one of the things I did learn about that is that it is so important for us to disconnect. Mm-hmm. Because let's face it, we're not gonna have. Every day is not going to be a good day.
Of course.
Sometimes you're going to wake up and you're going to be in a bad mood. But you have to have that time for you where you can sit down, have a glass of wine, read a book, go for a walk, disconnect. In my case, right now what's working for me, you know, I'm here in the Sunshine State. You know, I love it. But I decided that when I go home, I try my hardest to put my phone away. I'm not going to see it. I don't want to watch news. I want to dedicate that time to my family, to my girls and my husband.
I don't blame you. I mean, you have news all over the place, and that's my next question. And you kind of touch on it. How do you do to transition that? Because I'm going to be quite honest, I do not watch news, and it's because of that.
I know a lot of people that are like that.
Because I try to be so positive because there's so much negativity, but that's your career, and and we need people like you to deliver this. You know, most of the time not all bad news, right? How do you disconnect? Because yes, you have 2 beautiful daughters, your husband waiting for you at home, and you have all this. That's why I can never be a psychologist or anything. Because how can you take all that from home? How Yisel disconnect from that?
And I think they need their mommy. My husband needs his wife to be okay, to be happy. So after that experience in New York City, and now that I'm working here at this amazing station here locally, what I do after I'm done with my shift, I try to put the phone away. There's gonna be days, you know, nights, breaking news happens, and I'm a journalist at the end of the day, right? Yeah. That's part of me. That's part of my identity. It's my career. So yeah, I'm gonna pick up my phone and look at the breaking news, but I try to disconnect. I try to put the phone away when I get home, have a nice dinner with my husband, play with the girls, read them a story, go for a walk.
So you have your routine.
Yeah,
It's very important.
very important. And I didn't over there.
Wow. I can see how happy you are because you can see with a person, with their body language. I can see that you even are so comfortable in your own skin because you found Yisel back.
I did.
But what I admire the most, because I love seeing a whole entire picture, which you have an amazing future. I mean, where God is taking you and the people that you're touching, and we spoke about this last time. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to new opportunities.
Yes.
But what I see, and this is for all those women out there and men that are listening to this, you might have everything perfect, your career, where you want to be, but if it does not fulfill you, sometimes you have to stop, evaluate. And sometimes letting go things is not a bad thing because you were there a news, reporter.
News anchor.
Let go of that. Trust your instinct. Come to a smaller city here, Central Florida, because we do not compare to New York City. And guess what? You become the anchor news.
God has, and we talked about this, right? God has a plan for all of us. And when I was here, I took a break from news. I wasn't really actively looking for work. Eventually I did. I started applying.
The journey.
I was enjoying the journey, but I'm not going to lie, there were days that it got tough and I'm like, man, when am I going to start working? I need to start working again.
You needed the action
and
no matter what.
I remember I spoke to one of my mentors, my former news director at that station, and, other people here locally, and they're like, Yisel, trust the process. Confía en el proceso. Todo pasa cuando tiene que pasar.
Absolutely.
Things are going to happen when they have to happen, not before, not after. So I think for anyone that's struggling right now, just trust the process. Trust the process. That's all we can do.
Trust the process.
That's it. Trust the process.
Listen, I know. I've been trusting my process. Sometimes we get impatient.
I love it. You boss lady.
We get impatient because it's the nature.
Yes.
Especially, it's funny. Now I understand. You're Taurus just like me.
Taurus.
We're very hard-headed.
Taurus
We want
ladies.
everything
We're
quick,
stubborn,
quick.
yes.
We're stubborn.
No desesperamos.
Yes. But because our instinct, we're not that we're workaholic, but we love to see results, and we're not lazy. Our nature's like that. We just work hard, but the one thing I wanted, and I know it's so much, and I know we're gonna do a part 2.
We gotta do another one.
We have to do another one because there's so many questions I have for this woman that is
amazing.
It's needed. It's needed for the community. It's needed for people that have no idea. But the biggest, I put myself in your shoes. I'm like, wow, how do you feel that you are winning in your own native language to your own people that you said, because of them, I had this 5 Emmy because of my roots. What is so important, Yisel? Like una dominicana.
Arrasando.
And making us all proud, orgullosa de ser latina.
Es que te digo, lo dije anteriormente. I owe it to the Latino community. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't without them. And I'm so proud of my roots. People tell me, Yisel, but you're Spanish. You speak so well. You don't have, you don't have an accent. Sometimes when you're born, because I was born and raised here. My parents are from the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
But my parents, I'm so fortunate that they would send me to Dominican Republic and I would be there like for 3 months, So eso era como una escuelita. That's like a school for me. And that happened until I was maybe like 15, 16 years old.
But that molded you.
Yes.
It molded you to who you are today.
And I think we need to try to conservar eso, especially us that we have kids. Like I try, sometimes some days are better than others. I'm like, you need to speak Spanish. Y le hablamos en español. Because I think we need more of that,
Yeah.
Our kids, we're raising strong kids that should be able to speak the language.
Absolutely. And be proud. And be
proud of our heritage and
proud of where they come from.
And everything we bring to the table.
Absolutely. It's such a rich culture that the world needs more of this. For many years, we tended to be more like, the contrary. And that's the beautiful thing that this country giving us.
We're so different. Diversity. Be free. Diversity.
Be free within our own uniqueness. But before we close, like you guys all know, there's a question I ask all my guests.
Okay.
And the question is, Yisel, what will you tell the younger Yiselida if you have the opportunity to go back in time and tell that younger Yisel, what will you tell her?
Que no se desespere. Be patient. Be patient. Trust the process, right? We have to keep emphasizing that. Confía en el proceso. No te desespere. You will figure it out. We always do. We always do. So,
you have.
And I have.
And I'm so proud to have this.
You.
We're going to do a second one, I promise, guys.
Thank you.
I know you guys are going to have many other questions, and all those questions we can even ask her next time, I promise. So super honored to have you.
Thank you.
Such a strong woman that represent us out there. And I cannot be more proud and so much rooting for you because I love that. You know, there's nobody better than nobody. We're winning together in life. So no space for negativity. I don't like your black hair. I don't like your blonde hair. We all different within our own skin, and we're here to make each other strong and different. And different is unique. And
together we're better. I admire you too, and I admire everything you've done. And we just have to keep working together and helping each other out.
And trusting the process. You guys heard that?
Trust
the process. So I want to thank you for coming, my people, for again listening to another episode. So I got the accent because she doesn't. She speaks perfect English because she was born here. But she's very Latina and very super flavorful. If we put a merengue, she'll probably start dancing perfectly.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, baby.
Thank you.